If you ask people what string theory is, most would look lost or think about fishing. For my guest tonight, this is just another day at the office. She's written over 80 research papers, from quantum gravity to particle physics to cosmology, and publishes daily on YouTube. She's a theoretical physicist who's known for her really sharp insights in this area. Joining us over the phone is Dr. Sabine Hassenfelder. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Thank you for having me. It's quite rare that string theory makes it to primetime TV.
In this Advanced to Pro video, I'm going to show you how to craft a podcast to your exact specification and use Notebooklm truly as a tool to help you achieve what you want and not use it as a creative director. So first thing I want to show you is how you can bypass the source limit. In a previous video, I told you that you could do it. There's a very simple way to do that, is you, as much as possible, save various sources in a text file. So for instance, here I've got one transcript of a video, a second one, third one, and I've got 6 of them. A text file is something super light, super easy for an AI to use. So try to find sources that can be converted into text. Now, all the content of this text file here is actually YouTube video transcript. And to do this, what I used is this website here called YouTube Transcript. I paste the URL of the video. This is the video. I paste it in the box that says gets a transcript. And then afterwards, I get the text, I highlight the text, and I copy it in the file that I want. The other thing that you can do is extract the audio. Same thing, I use tubereaper.com, free, works well. Put the video reference here and ask it to extract the audio. So let's upload our files. I want these files there, so my desktop, and I'm going to give it this one, that one, and that one. So I have some audio, I have some text. When it's going away and doing its thing. And I'm going to show you as well that from time to time, YouTube doesn't really work. So we'll wait for everything to be done. It's starting to work. Okay, it's done. Let me show you what happens when you want to upload a YouTube video and it doesn't work. So add source, get the YouTube video you're interested in, and then add YouTube, paste, and insert. And you can see it tells you, nope, it's not working. If you put your cursor on the eye, video cannot be imported, transcript not available. So let's delete this, remove the source, yes. And then you do the same thing. You either get a transcript from youtubetranscript.com or you decide to get the audio. It doesn't matter really, it's the same. So I have 6 sources here. 7, 8, 9, 10 sources, but for Notebooklm I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, the podcast I want to do is about string theory. It's a branch of physics. I know some level of it. So my podcast is going to be about string theory. Now the first thing I always do when I use this tool as a tool, not as a discovery tool, not as a creative director, is I always start by asking Notebooklm to give me the top 3, the top 5 points for and against. So we're going to do just that. We're going to say, give me the top 5 pros and cons for string theory. And I can't type. And cons. So it's just done that. And the reason why I want to do this is because I can then craft my research. and dig deeper and ask further questions on each of those points. So here I'm going to use this as the backbone of my podcast. Now, the main difference between advanced level and pro level is at pro level you can totally visualize what your podcast is going to be. You are able to say there's an intro, they're going to talk about this, they're going to exchange a bit of polite banter on this, then the guest is going to conclude. Thanks the host is going to conclude. Thanks the guest is going to close the podcast, and we move to something else. You need to be able to pen that down. So what I usually do is I take a note file again and I break down what I want. So here, intro by the host, presentation of the guest background, then, oh, hello, thank you very much for being here, blah, blah, blah. Then host and the guest talk about the pros of the theory. I do not want any conclusion from the AI at the end of that, because I've got another part where they're going to talk about the negative. And between this and that, I want the host to say, well, something like, unfortunately, they aren't just positive things about string theory. There also are some sticky points that we need to address. And then they talk about the cons. Then the host and a guest conclude. I will ask the AI to give me the top 2 pros and the 2 crucial points to solve, and they will conclude on that. And then the host will close the podcast, thanking the guests for coming and call to action to the listeners. This is crucial because if you can do that, then the masterclass will be, we put all this together in videos with real people voice, good footage, and you won't be able to tell the difference. You have to be able to visualize to the camera panning, where you want the camera to be, how to shot, how to frame on the guest, how to frame on the host. So in our case, we have a male host who is interviewing a female host. She's the lady here, Sabine Otzenfelder. She's a German physicist, and she posts a lot on YouTube. And if you go on a page and you put string theory, she has quite a lot about string theory, and I've used her videos to get the sources. So now what we need to do is to use this and force the AI to give us exactly what we want. So let me show you how you're going to do this and why this is the pro level and what will take your podcast to the next level. So the first thing I'm going to do is to save that as a note, which is going to appear here. Open it, and I'm going to change the note title to pros and cons, so that I can reference this note as the backbone of the podcast. So that's done. And then the crucial thing that we're going to have to use a lot, and what you're going to always use in pro level and masterclass level, is the customize button. This is where you tell the AI what to do, how to do it, why, etc., etc. Be careful, there is a limit to 500 characters, and those 500 characters go super quickly. So again, text file, and you type what you want in there. So I have 2 people in total, only one host male interviewing a guest female. The tone is professional but friendly. Host only intro, nobody else's talks. If you ask people what string theory is, most will look lost or will think about fishing. For my guest tonight, this is just another day in the office. She has written over 80 research papers from quantum gravity to particle physics to cosmology, and publishes daily on YouTube. Please welcome on this episode of Between the Lines, that's the name of our podcast, Sabine Otzenfelder. I've crafted this yesterday. I had about 10 tries to get it right, so I hope today it's gonna work. But in any case, let's copy it and let's paste it in there. And you can see that it's telling me it's over 500 characters. So I'm going to have to change it a little bit, and I'll pick you up from when it's done. So I had to change a few things. I had to remove friendly. So tone is professional. Now, this is my vision. What is likely to happen is you're going to have, or I'm most probably going to have to iterate a few times to make sure that the intro is what I want. So I'm going to generate the intro, and then we'll see later on what it gives me. In that section of the process, I don't care about the rest. I really just want this. So it's going to give me 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it doesn't matter. I will just need that section. So let's generate. So we have our first file. Let's listen to it and see if we're okay with it.
If you ask people what string theory is, most will look lost or will think about fishing. For my guest tonight, this is just another day at the office. She has written over 80 research papers, from quantum gravity to particle physics to cosmology, and publishes daily on YouTube. Please welcome Sabine Hassenfelder. Welcome to the show. Today we're diving into some fascinating topics.
Okay, so we can hear immediately there are two issues. So, two issues. First, it jumps directly from daily on YouTube. Please welcome, blah, 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 blah. And also, here it stutters a little bit. If you ask people what string theory is, most will look lost first. So you can see that this isn't perfect. So what we need to do is delete it and start again. So our custom, and don't do what I've just done. Once you change your prompt here, you need to copy it and paste it in text file. So I know that I removed that. So I'm going to tweak it, and then I'll pick you up. Okay, so I've done the tweaks and we have our second generation. So let's listen to it.
If you ask people what string theory is, most would look lost or think about fishing. For my guest tonight, this is just another day at the office. She's written over 80 research papers, from quantum gravity to particle physics to cosmology, and publishes daily on YouTube. Welcome to the Deep Dive, Sabine Hassenfelder.
Thanks for having me.
Where we take a stack of your sources.
Okay, so we can see it's definitely, this line here is not correct, but I can live with it. I like the way it's been read, it's been presented, and we have the female guest exchanging a hello, blah, blah, blah. So
The office. She's written over 80 research papers, from quantum gravity to particle physics to cosmology, and publishes daily on YouTube. Welcome to the Deep Dive, Sabine Hassenfelder.
Thanks for having me.
Right, so we can hear that she's been introduced, she's saying hello. It's great because I have already this part, the host and guest exchange hello. So I'm okay with that, and this is done. I don't care, like I said, I don't care about the rest. They can talk about whatever they want, it doesn't matter. So now what I need to do is to download this file. There you go. And I'm going to save it in a folder and write down exactly what it is so that I have the structure of the podcast. And I'm going to rename this as intro podcast guest and host plus hello. So I know exactly what it is. And just delete everything else. Right, so we have this. Now let's move on to the next step. Okay, so let's go back to our structure of the podcast. We've done one, we've done two. Now we need to create a prompt for this. So again, the magic text file. I told it the same thing at the beginning. 2 people in total, 1 male host, 1 female guest. Tone is professional. I forced him to use the only one reference, the note that we titled Pros and Cons, which is this one. Talk about the top 5 pros. I'm going to say only, actually. Refer to the guest as Dr. Hassenfelder or you. I don't want it to call it Sabine. I just want to have that professionalism in the podcast. And then importantly, do not conclude at the end of the podcast. Remember, we have where is it, structure? We want this to end open so that then I can have another prompt to say, well, everything is good, but there are some major negative points that we need to talk about, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to copy this, and I haven't done that one. So again, for your first shot, maybe if you're lucky, you get what you want, but we'll have to see. Copy this. I've downloaded this file. Let's just make sure. Yep, it's here. I've got it. So I can safely delete it, and then go back to customize and give it my next section. So I want this and paste it here. Right, so let's go over this again. 2 people in total, only 1 host male interviewing as female. Tone is professional. Only use the note titled pros and cons. Talk about the top 5 pros only. Refer to guest as Dr. Ossenfelder or you. Do not conclude at the end of the podcast. So in this audio, we'll have to check this and the end of the podcast. So let's generate and we'll see later on. So let's see what we have.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at string theory, but from a perspective you might not expect. We'll be talking to Dr. Sabrine Hossenfelder, a physicist known for her insightful and, let's be honest, sometimes pointed critiques of the field. Now, you've probably all heard of string theory, this ambitious idea that aims to explain everything in the universe using tiny vibrating...
Right, so immediately you can tell it has done a intro. I don't care about the intro. There are a couple of things that I like in there. The first thing that you've noticed, it didn't say Sabine, it said Sabrine. But he identified the fact that she's German, first of all. So she's quite dry when it comes to, and honest when it comes to criticism. So I can use that little snippet there and add it somewhere in the intro that I crafted. But it's neither here nor there. I can do without. So let's carry on and listen to what it says and how the Sabine comes in.
strings. But it's also been called a zombie theory, clinging to life despite a lack of experimental proof. Instead of focusing on those criticisms today, Dr. Hossenfelder will be walking us through 5 surprisingly positive things about string theory. Dr. Hossenfelder, thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here. I think it's important to have a balanced view of any scientific theory, even one as controversial as string theory.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in with our first point.
Okay, so again, it's an interesting intro. You can mix and match. Now they're going to talk about the first point. So let's see if at least they start with that.
Which is the mathematical richness of string theory.
Right. Mathematical richness is the third one in the top 5 positive ones. I'm going to go through it because I'm not going to let you listen for 80 minutes 35, and then I'll come back and see if it has talked only about that, and at the end it doesn't conclude. So in a previous file that I tried, it didn't happen the way I wanted, so I had to tweak the file a little bit, tweak the prompt, and I gave it all the positive things first in the prompt and all the negative things last in the prompt. In this prompt, it does exactly that. Talks about the top 5 pros first, and then it talks about the 5 negative after. I don't care, but there is no mix between the two. But it still concludes at the end of the podcast. But to be honest, because it talks about the 5 top pros only, I can cut there, create another prompt, and repeat the process. So I'm not going to take you through everything. You know now what you need to do, how you need to proceed. You can see that it's a very iterative process. This is much more time consuming. If you want your podcast to be exactly the way you want, you're going to spend some time. And remember, this is because eventually in a masterclass, we turn this into a video. So this is the minimum you need to do to get your video perfect as you want. So I hope you found that interesting. Sorry, if you have any question, let me know, and I'll see you in another video. Ciao.